What's going on, y'all? A 300-pound woman pleads guilty to crushing her boyfriend to death on purpose. A man nails an ice pick through his roommate's dong. Another true story. Also, a bodybuilding pig who has some kind of special magical sperm is being sold all over the internet. And a nativity in Boston has baby Jesus locked in a cage, of course, to protest deportation or some such nonsense. Also, freedom of speech, it always seems to be attacked these days here in America because we have this radical social justice, neo-Marxist, postmodernist types, going around ruining everything for everybody else. So we're going to talk about all of those things. But the story I know you guys want to hear first, okay? I know y'all want to. It's how the fat chick crushed the skinny dude, okay? Because, let's be honest, that's interesting. The next one's going to make your nuts hurt, so we'll save that one for a second. So this chick gets in an argument with her boyfriend over crack. And I can already tell you what's going wrong. She's 300 pounds. That equals, I don't smoke crack. He weighs $120. And that's hard to achieve, man. A $120, I don't know if I could weigh a $120 unless I was like on my deathbed. Like that's a lot of weight I'd have to drop. That's like 60 pounds I'd have to lose. Anyway, they argue over crack. Of course, the typical, here's how you know you're about to be crushed by a fat chick. Because you're trying to smoke crack with her. That's all. That's all you need to know. So she decides in this argument, I'll just stab him and then I'll rip a leg off a chair and hit him with it. And she did this and then she laid on him to crush him to death. So I'm assuming she was too tired after these two moves. And then she was like... And so she just laid on top of him. That's why that happened. But let me just tell you, this is the worst possibility, man. Whenever you get crushed by a fat chick, all anyone remembers. They remember nothing else except for here lies Bob, crushed by a fat chick. Doesn't matter. You could have the Nobel Peace Prize for Astrophysics. Doesn't matter. That no one remembers that. In the history books, it says, Dr. Who. It doesn't say discovered the smallest particle in existence. It just says, was crushed by a massive woman. That's all. That's all we'll say. So I recommend if you can go out anyway, choose that one at the bottom of your list, unless that's what you want to be known for, okay? Also, let's be honest. You got to choose your company wisely. A 300-pound woman probably doesn't smoke crack because you probably wouldn't be 300 pounds if you did. Maybe occasional crack, but I don't even see how that's possible. Anyways, the next story, y'all. This one's crazy, dude. This dude gets a shotgun. He's arguing. Another argument. So there's something kind of voodoo going on in the air last night or something, making people like take their arguments to the next level. Gets a shotgun after he's arguing with his roommate. He gets a shotgun and holds it to his head and gives him the choice. A would you rather. And the worst would you rather choice ever. Would you rather me take you to the desert and kill you, or I can put a nail through your dong? Those were his choices. So clearly he chose the latter. And let me be honest with you guys. This is not the typical, would you rather pick your butt and smell your finger, eat a booger? It's not that kind of would you rather. This is a serious would you rather. And it would take me a long time to decide if the nail was better than the bullet. But clearly this guy's still alive, so I guess he made the right choice. But the point is, he handcuffs this guy to a chair, and then he puts a board under it, gets a rusty hammer, and clearly he couldn't find a nail, so he broke his part of the agreement, if you ask me. So I think the guy should be a little upset about that. And nails it through the guy's wiener. Boom. I don't know how he got that out. But I do know he didn't seek medical attention till the next morning, because he let him off the chair after he did that. Which is crazy. Like, what is going on in your head? Like, I bet they were smoking crack too. That's some crack, dude. I'm telling you, people who smoke crack and meth, there is something weird that's going on. Like a weirdness. And I'm not saying maybe if you smoked at one time, but these people who smoke this stuff all the time, dude, something's going on with your brain, dude. You're scrambling something bad, man. Like, both of those just sound gross. Like, when someone's being weird, you say, oh, crackhead. You don't say, like, someone's going around helping the homeless, like, wow, what a crackhead. No, you don't. You only say it about people who are completely insane, ice picking people's dongs to 2x4s. Okay, that's a crackhead. Anyway, next up, guys, this pig. Look at this pig, okay? This looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger's puppy. This thing's crazy. Like, the traps and the thighs. It's just like boom, boom, boom. This pig, dude, this is probably the coolest pig of all time. Like, this should be like on a Gold's Gym t-shirt. They need to take off, what does Gold Gym have? Oh, it has that dorky dude with the bent bar. No, they're going to get rid of that. Have this pig on the front, man. That thing is insane. So this 2 times muscle pig, doesn't it kind of look like the pigs from Duke Nukem? I don't know if you guys remember that game. They go around with the machine guns, kind of all buff and douchey. Anyway, this pig sperm is being sold all over the world. Everybody's just ordering it. He's selling it with insemination kits and the whole thing. And I don't know how that whole process of insemination of pigs goes, but I'm sure someone in Arkansas could tell you guys. The point is, I bet he's making a killing. Because I've never seen a pig like this in my life. I've seen something similar when it came to like these gigantic bulls that they've just been loading up with steroids and the craziest hormones in the world, and that's just jacked. But God, this pig, man. That thing's crazy. Can you imagine that pig fighting any other pig? Dude, just like whooping everybody's ass. Because no one's even, all other pigs are fat, okay? Like all of them are fat. This is like being the only person that works out in the world and you get to eat chicken and healthy food all the time and everyone else on earth only gets to eat 12 jelly donuts every 10 minutes. How the rest of the world would look compared to you is what this pig looks like compared to all other pigs. It's completely insane. Now, I just thought that was a fun story. Really has no bearing on anyone's lives. Really, none of these stories do. But this next one shows how the political climate in America is changing in such a disgusting way. So, this is so absurd to me. I don't mind criticism from all different sides. So the left has valid criticisms of the right right has valid criticisms of the left, and that should just be acknowledged because that's true. But today there's this weird outgrowth coming on the left, and it's coming up strong. It's not like the right doesn't have its own little outgrowth, but it's small and it's so easily identifiable as evil, right? Racism, people can see as just evil. So the alt-right, I don't think, could really get a good foothold, even though the left is trying to make it so they do, it seems like to me. But anyway, this far left thing, this social justice type, this postmodernism is so ridiculous because it seems to be infecting a larger portion of the left and they seem like they should be more immune to it. And I've heard a lot of theories on why it seems like the left has such a problem rejecting it. Like, every conservative will sell you right off the bat, no, we want nothing to do with any racist. The alt-right is bad. If you're saying alt-right and you're defining that as someone who is racist or white supremacist or so on and so forth, they will say that that is bad, that is evil, they want nothing to do with that. But if you ask the left, is the alt-left bad? Is Antifa bad? They're like, well, we don't know. The whole intersectional coalition that's like traveling around wanting you to be, your value to be based on like the amount of grievances that you could possibly, apply for, that group. This group has led to a huge amount of leftists just moving in a very radical direction, and I really don't understand why. There's still a lot of good leftists, and a lot of leftists I follow, such as Camilla Paglia, or is it Camilla Paglia? I love her, dude. She was like one of the original feminists, not like this third wave nonsense feminism. But the point is, there's this church in Boston, and they have baby Jesus locked in a cage when the 3 wise men hiding behind a deportation fence. This is a real story. Why? Tell me why. Why would you do that? Well, they wanted to raise awareness of what evil Trump is doing. Now, here's the thing. That argument may make sense if Donald Trump came up with the order and said, hey, listen, I want you to lock these people's children in a cage, as far away from them as possible, because we need to teach them a lesson. I would be more sympathetic to your argument. But that's not what happened. The Border Patrol agents got these orders far before Trump ever came in office. They've been doing this all throughout Obama's 8 years in office. Not just Obama's, but other presidents too. And what they do is they separate the children from their parents because they don't know, because you just committed a crime, and you cannot put a child in a cell with someone who committed a crime. There is a guy here in Texas who was pulled over for an expired license. An expired license, that's all. He had no criminal record, nothing else. Okay? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't expired. He had his license revoked for not paying a ticket. Anyways, but he had to drive his kids to school or something because his wife was late for work, so she just had to go do it. So he's like, okay, he gets pulled over. They take his kids and put them in foster care. He can't see his kids for a damn week just because he was driving and his license was revoked. That's all. He wasn't trying to illegally enter a country. So I'm just saying, if you want to feel sorry for somebody, feel sorry for everybody. Don't be so selective. Like, no one was feeling sorry for these people, during the Obama administration. In fact, most of the photos that's being shown of this were from the Obama administration. So I just want to know why those weren't publicized when he was president. Like, it's very interesting. You can't have selective outrage. Either it's bad all the time or it's never bad. And no one really believes that these people think it's that bad, because it's just been exposed so many different lies. For example, when the Border Patrol agents used gas, tear gas, not like cyanide gas, just some tear gas at the border to stop people who were throwing rocks at them that had hit Border Patrol agents. And I'm not talking about pebbles, I'm talking about like big ass slap your mama rocks, dude. Huge rocks. So they used some gas because that's what they do. And then they act like this is a new thing. It's never happened before. Trump is a tyrant. And as it turns out, they just go ahead and release the spreadsheet of every time they use gas in the Obama administration. It was like 15 times a month that they were gassing on the border. But that didn't matter then. It's kind of like, it didn't matter that kids were being separated from their parents then because, it's fine. It's just fine. So I think there's a lot of criticisms that are valid of Trump. But the lying is just so unnecessary. Why try to? Because you're gonna get found out. Everyone knows what really happens. So my point is, the people who are okay with this kind of rhetoric, they don't care, obviously, about what I'm saying. But the people who they're trying to win over to their side are just becoming more and more turned off by the idea. Because there's this ridiculous radicalization going on. So the thing with the church and the baby, it just shows how the truth is very obscure these days. Like, it doesn't really matter. And I think that's for sure an issue with postmodernism. 100%, because truth is just subjective. So it doesn't matter if we show you pictures, or the pictures you're showing are from Obama. In your mind, this is correlated to Trump, and it doesn't matter what the factual information is. It's just his fault. Anyway, I'm not here to defend Trump for, every single thing he said. But on this particular issue, I don't see how the fault lies with this particular president. It just doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to me why these arguments are the ones being made. Like, maybe you want to talk about why are we still in Afghanistan? Said we wouldn't be. Maybe you want to talk about Syria. There's a whole bunch of things you could talk about that would be valid criticisms, or even tariffs. That's a huge issue, which I'm really not even sure where I stand on it. But the point is, there's a lot of valid criticisms, and the ones that people are going after are stupid because they're based solely on race, they're based solely on intersectionality, and that's just taken us to a terrible place lately. So I don't know if you guys know who Brett Weinstein is, but he was an Evergreen professor, okay? And this is another story of this whole intersectionality and how it's just totally stupid, which is kind of like identify people's value based on their victim status, right? So the intersectional coalition, I guess is what they're called. But these people essentially say, if you're a minority, if you're a racial minority, then your status is much higher in our club. Like, it's like, you become a general right off the bat. Also, your sexual preferences, so gay, transgender, so on and so forth, they get much, much higher status. So if you're minority race and transgender or gay, then you're much higher status. Or lesbian, you'd be even higher, because gay still is a man. So, men have less power in their group, because in real life, men have too much power. So the worst thing you could be is a straight white man. That's the worst thing according to this group, which is ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. It goes against everything that the United States and the West was founded on, which is that all individuals are created equally. I'm sure someone wants to, debate me about the Constitution, but we can do that at a separate time. The point is, this group decided that they were just going to take over the campus, and they did. They took over the campus with clubs and weapons, and they demanded, like, they had tables set up that were only for black people. Black people snacks. White people must go outside for food. They took over the cafeteria. All these tables are for black people. White people must sit in the back. crazy, bro. Like crazy. How someone could think this isn't racist is beyond me. Anyway, so the professor, Brett Weinstein, decides he's not going to leave. So he stays. And they're like, no, white people are not allowed at school today. We have decided, this intersectional coalition of idiots has decided that that's just not, no, they don't want them there. And so they should be able to have a day where it's only black people at school so that they feel good about everything, which is totally moronic. Well, he refuses to concede to these people. And what ends up happening is a lawsuit's filed and a whole bunch of other stuff. Anyways, he ends up winning a lawsuit against the university because this university allowed this to happen. Like, there's a video of these kids yelling at the president of the university who allowed all this, who basically was promoting this. And they were like, put your hands in your pocket. You're microaggressing us. You're assaulting us with your hand gestures. And this dumbass puts his hands in his pockets. I swear to God. This is a true story. Just look it up, Brett Weinstein Evergreen. Anyway, this is this huge problem that I see today, which is you have a rising radical left and you have the normal moderate left who really doesn't know how to combat it, even though there are a lot of moderates like speaking out against this. It goes against the left's principles, which is like, hey, we grab up everybody from every walk of, every background, every walk of life, you know, anyone who's a minority or a disparaged group or whatever your cause may be. So there's the people who are anti-gun activists, right? Now they get on board with the left. And then there's the PETA types. They get on board with the left. Then you have a minority group who the left says is oppressed, so they get on with the left, right? But you don't understand when you get on board with this, you kind of have to support all the other little groups, or else you're basically alt-right. So let's say if you're an anti-gun activist, but you don't support the social justice warriors, well, now you're going against the left, is what it seems. The point is, the left has a real problem pushing out toxic, evil things that are within their own group. And I don't know what's more toxic and evil than communism. Communism has killed far more people than fascism ever has. So the Russian communism, the Maoist Chinese, killed millions and millions more people than Hitler did. Like, it's not even comparable. And it's been tried a whole bunch of times, and it always results in like the worst possible outcomes. So I'm not saying it's better to be alt-right by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying it's much easier to implement communism because it's not as clearly evil as saying, you know, you hate someone because of their skin color. That's so clearly evil. It would be very difficult to get anyone on board with that. At least by my mindset, it would seem like it would really be impossible these days. But as far as saying, no, everything needs to be equal without understanding that everyone is not equal in that sense, in the sense that we're not all going to work the same amount, we're all not going to strive to achieve the same amount, we're all going to have different personal things happening in our lives that will pull us in different directions. But to say we need equality of opportunity, sure, I'm on board with that. Let's do it then. That's fine. Everyone has the same opportunities, and what you make with those opportunities is up to you. Absolutely. And I know you can't make them totally the same, but, you know, let's make it so, you know, every kid has the ability to get a good education in high school. You know, I'm not someone who's promoting like free college or anything like that. I just don't think, you know, money is a limited resource. You know, if it was air, you know, if college was earned through air breathing, then I'd be like, sure, everyone should be able to go to college, but it's not. Someone has to pay for that. And I don't think someone else should have to pay for you to go to school. I had to go fight in Afghanistan for 4 years so that I could have my school paid for. So I really don't feel sorry for anyone who argues otherwise. The point is, it's kind of ridiculous to me that you have this far left, anti-free speech, anti-capitalist, anti-West movement that only could exist because of the freedoms that were allowed in the West. You can't have a movement like that prop up in a dictatorship because they'll just squash you out immediately, depending on the type of dictatorship, of course. It could be a communist dictatorship. But either way, if these people just read this book right here, The Gulag Archipelago, they would know, dude, can't happen. When communism is tried, it sucks. So there's a whole lot more I want to talk about on some of these weird things that are happening, such as, you know, with Google, Facebook, and other ones where people are thinking that they're being censored because they're conservative or because they're liberal, but they don't go along with this whole identity politics thing. And I've been saying for forever that political correctness is ridiculous. And not because I don't find some of these things repugnant or offensive, because I absolutely do. But the left used to be the ones that always fought for free speech, and it's blowing my mind that they're not anymore. Like, I remember all of the conservatives, because I grew up as a missionary kid, I guess. So you're not going to find very many liberal people in that group. But there were a lot of scientists that came to stay with us because we lived in the Amazon. So scientists would come down, and they were obviously more liberal. So the point is, I didn't grow up with a lot of liberal ideology, but the conservatives there were always seeming to be against free speech in its truest form. I don't know why I did that. In its truest form. So what I mean by that is, like, music with filthy lyrics. Conservatives thought that was bad. That should be banned. It shouldn't be allowed. They just thought that. Like, anything that went against a religious moral compass shouldn't be allowed. It should be illegal. And the left always fought this. I mean, the ACLU once defended a KKK member's right to, go out and say all of his, disgusting things. They fought a lawsuit and won it. In fact, they lost a lot of liberal supporters when they did that. And the ACLU is clearly, fallen from its, free speech days. Now they think everything is bad. Anyways, the point is, there's a lot of other issues on this subject that I really want to get into. But I'm almost out of time here. But I'm sorry about the sound, by the way, guys, because I've taken out all the stuff out of this room, so I'm plating it up with those soundproof pads. And the podcast will be out in just a couple of weeks, I think 2 weeks, but I'm going to be uploading more of this stuff to the channel, as well as some of the gaming stuff still. Don't worry, I'm not going to stop doing that or anything. But since I am having the podcast, I have to have a few episodes ready for Apple. So I'm just going to be uploading them as I go so I can have those episodes ready. And then once it gets approved through Apple, I will be doing these lives. Anyways, guys, that is going to be all for me. Let me know what you think. If there's something cool that, story or something you want me to talk about, let me know. I'm still kind of working on this. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to get this right. Normally, I want this to be a conversation where I'm talking to someone who knows a lot about, say, law enforcement, who knows something about biology, evolutionary biology, astrophysics, whatever it could be, teachers, firemen, whatever it may be. I just want to have conversations with people because I like learning. I like learning about new things because I'm not one of those people who believes that he just knows everything. My mind can definitely be changed if I am proved to be wrong, which is why I hate ideology so much, because an ideology means your beliefs are set in stone and your beliefs try to silence others' beliefs. And if you do that, then no one can ever learn anything. You can only have the stupid idea of the ideology, which is why I'm so opposed to the social justice movement. That is all for me, guys. Peace.